Hello and welcome back to the Golf Ireland pod. It is episode 7 and I am your host Stephen Murphy. Delighted to be here with you and thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate it very much. And as always, we have plenty of golf to recap and look forward to. And also we'll be speaking this week to Aideen Walsh, who was kind enough to join us here on the Golf Ireland pod. So that's all to come. But as always, we start with a bit of a recap of all the action. Two main talking points this week. We'll start off with the Women's Amateur Championship, where Beth Coulter was the best of the Irish. She reached the quarter-final stage, but unfortunately her campaign came to an end as she suffered a 3-2 defeat to Swedish star Ellen Pudas-Remler. It was a good performance from Beth. She was 1 under for the 16 holes, but it just wasn't good enough, unfortunately, with the pace that was set by Ellen there. She was playing some great stuff. Coulter kind of lost 3 holes around the turn, and Pudas kind of birdied 11 and 12 to go 4 up, which was a tough battle to come back from. But in fairness to Beth, as always, she never gave up. She birdied on 14, which halved the deficit, but then her birdie on 15 was only good enough for a half. And then a birdie then from Pudas-Remler was good enough on 16 to seal a fairly comfortable 3-2 win. Unfortunately for Beth, but again can hold her head very much high. A fantastic performance over the week. She was the leading qualifier going into the match play, and again for only being 19 years old, an absolutely fantastic performance for her, and just came up against a birdie machine in Ellen Pudas-Remler. So congratulations to Beth on a very good week, and congratulations to all the also other Irish participating in the week as well. Then look back to Douglas Golf Club, a fantastic weekend and a weekend to remember for the Irish. Eddie McCormick and Alison Taylor were the winners of the European Senior Men's and Women's Championship respectively. Both two Irish winners, which is absolutely fantastic. We'll start off with Alison, who comes from Malahide Golf Club. She eagled the last to claim her win and was 1 shot clear of Charlotte Oudman from Sweden and Sylvie Closet from Belgium. A fantastic back 9 from Alison, where she sank 3 birdie putts, and despite a bogey on 17, she then had the eagle on the last to claim an unlikely success. Only unlikely because of her previous kind of couple of years. She said there in a quote that she had no expectations because in August of 2020 she had a very serious mountain bike accident and she had a shoulder reconstruction in Zurich Hospital, and they told her she might never play golf again, and now she's after winning the European Seniors Amateur, which is absolutely fantastic. She didn't have a caddy or anything out there. She was just going about her business and just saying it's another round of golf, and sometimes you play well and sometimes you don't, which again, if you've been listening to our kind of chats with golfers over the last few weeks, that seems to be a common attitude with the golfers, that they are very happy with once they do their best, they understand it's a game of chance a lot of times, and you'll see that as well with our chat with Aideen as well. Fantastic attitude and process based rather than results based. And then on the men's side, Eddie McCormick, a fellow Cavan man like myself, he dedicated his European Senior Men's Championship win to his father Teddy, who unfortunately is in hospital there a few days ago in Dublin. So we're wishing him and all the best, of course. And Eddie had a sensational 2-shot win at Douglas Golf Club. Obviously a Cavan native, but he plays out of Galway Bay Golf Club, and he kept his cool down the stretch to hold off the challenge of Alan Condren and overnight leader Jody Flanagan to register 6 under in an Ireland-dominated finish in the men's side, which is brilliant. And it was obviously an emotional moment for Eddie with his father being in hospital, but a fantastic win to hold his nerve down the end. And a few quotes from Eddie here. He said, "I actually didn't know how I was going until I was over the chip on the last hole. I asked one of the guys as I was going down the green, what's the state of play at the minute, and he said, you're 1 ahead. I just said, try and get up and down from here and close it out and be done with it." So a fantastic up and down for birdie on the last on a par 5. Held his nerve with the putt, and you could see what it meant to him there with a big fist bump. Eddie's been close there to a lot of tournaments recently, and he finally gets over the line with a huge win in Douglas Golf Club, as I said, taking on the best from Europe. So Alison and Eddie, fantastic 2 wins there for the Irish as well. Douglas Golf Club looked fantastic. Everyone's raving about the course there, so absolutely well done to everyone involved with Douglas Golf Club for hosting a fantastic event there. And again, congratulations to 2 Irish winners, which is absolutely fantastic. That recaps all the action. We'll now throw it over to our chat with Aideen. And I'm now delighted to be joined by Aideen Walsh from Lahinch Golf Club. Aideen, thank you for taking the time out to speak to me here on the Golf Ireland pod. How are you?
Good now. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, you enjoying the good weather?
I am. But I
Yeah.
suffer from hay fever. That's the only thing.
Oh, that's not ideal for a golfer, I would imagine. No.
No, but I love the sun. It's been
So,
class.
do you just have to take tablets before you go on a golf
Yeah,
course, right like that? Oh, okay. So
antihistamines.
antihistamines. Oh wow, the struggle is real.
I know.
Yeah, the weather is fantastic. Although I did get caught in a thunderstorm on last
Yeah.
Tuesday, which was far from ideal. But look, we digress and we talk about it. But yeah, obviously I want to talk on a few topics, Aideen. But I wanted to start our conversation with the topic of getting better. Again, I'd like to try and educate as much of our listeners as possible, who are mostly obviously amateur golfers. You're at the elite level in Ireland, but obviously you still are always in the process of trying to get better. And the reason I bring up this conversation is because I had a lesson myself the other day, and I was convinced I knew what I was doing wrong, and the pro then proceeded to inform me that I was actually doing the opposite of what I thought I was doing, and that was what was holding me back. So I would consider myself pretty knowledgeable on the golf swing, at least to a certain degree, and I was completely way off. So what is it like for someone of your level? Is that a similar scenario you've ever been in?
Yeah, yeah. At this stage now, it's funny. I know my golf swing so well that when things go wrong, it's either one of like two or three things. I nearly know. And then sometimes I just need my golf coach to confirm it. But I mean, starting out, it would have been the same. Like you think it's one thing, and then it's the opposite.
So obviously you have to have a level of trust then in your coach that they know what they're doing more so than you know what you're doing. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. So my coach is Ian Kearney. He's the head pro in Roland, and I've been working with him like 4 years. So that probably helps as well. Like I know him so well, and he knows my game better than anyone. So like there's so much trust there when it comes to my golf swing and how I'm going to improve it and stuff like that.
And then talk to me about, obviously, if I want to get better, I might, the process of getting better sometimes is getting worse for a little bit while you work on that new move or new swing thought. I can afford to do that because I'm not playing in very important tournaments week in, week out like you are. So what is that process like for you? Are you reluctant maybe to make a big change, especially mid-season?
Yeah, a little bit. If I was making a big change, it would be in the winter.
Okay.
And that would be like in previous years, that would be what I've done. And then during the year, it's nearly just maintaining those fundamentals that I know I need to work on. I wouldn't be the type to make a big change in the middle of the season, especially because we play so much golf now. Like we're at
Yeah.
tournaments. Like I think I'm playing three tournaments in June. So you don't want to be having for me anyways, I don't want to be thinking about some sort of a swing thought while I'm playing tournament golf.
And that, I think that's important as well to highlight, because I think a lot of amateurs don't realize that to maybe get better, you do have to get worse for a little bit. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Like even when it comes to going for lessons, like if any of the ladies ever ask me, I'd recommend to go like I know they probably don't play golf during the winter, but even at the start of the season, so that they can
Yeah,
work on
and
it for a little bit, and then they'll see the results during the summer. Whereas if you go during the summer, they'll nearly get frustrated because they're kind of wishing it will get better within a week or two, but it'll
yeah,
take a little bit of time.
you'll be playing some sick golf in November if you start in the summer,
Yeah.
which is not really what you
Yeah.
want to do. And as well, also I think important point is to YouTube videos are great, and there's a lot of great YouTube videos out there, but go get a lesson with a pro, and don't try
Yeah.
and just fix yourself on
Yeah,
YouTube.
and like we have such good coaches in Ireland. Like even in the Golf Ireland system, where like the coaches are unbelievable. Oh,
Yeah.
so you've access, you've no excuse.
No, no excuse at all. No, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for that, Ian, because that's always fascinating to get someone of your level's insight in that. Let's speak a bit about your Irish international career. You had a quote there last season that it was your kind of first full year of doing an international schedule last year, and that you learned so much in terms of planning and doing so many events in a row. And it's actually a very good point to bring up, because we, as watchers of golf, we don't realise everything that goes into playing week in, week out, because obviously we kind of play once or twice a week max. So can you kind of expand on that point that you kind of mentioned last year?
Yeah, well, I suppose I am lucky this year that I'm on the high performance panel. So we sat down with Donal and we planned out the season together. So we had Donal's advice on how best basically to perform, because you don't want to play too much. That can be a problem too. And like I'm still working and I'm studying, so you're trying to balance it out as best as you can to make sure that when you do play, you're like going to optimize your performance basically. So this I did St. Rule British Am, and now Irish Close. British Am ended a little bit early, so that's my first time doing 3 in a row. And like, because I'm so new to it, it's still experimenting, like what works for me. Like, you don't want to burn out, you don't want to be too tired, you don't want to play too much too early. And I think everyone is just kind of figuring that out. Like, it takes time. I'd say people are professionals are still trying to figure out how many like weeks in a row is too much and when they need a break and stuff like that.
And what have you found so far that has worked for you?
Like, I do like a week and then like a week off and then back on. Yeah. Like, I think roughly I've done about 2 a month this year, and I think that's good, just to balance it so that I can go in and I can work, and in work, like, the golf doesn't really matter, so it's nice to have a break away from that, and I'm finishing a master's at the moment, so I think that's what works for me, where some people might need to play more, but maybe 2 tournaments a month I think is good.
Talk to me. Yeah, so having a break away from the golf obviously is something that you do prioritize. Is that just physically and mentally as well?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important, like, to know I am a teacher, like, and I'm not just a golfer. Some people think that I just play golf all the time, but for me, that is important.
As you said, you're still studying. We had Kate Lanigan on at the start of the year, who was talking about kind of handling playing as much golf and then also trying to study. How has that kind of balance been for you?
Yeah, it's funny. The last 2 years, like, at one stage I was working full time, doing a part-time master's and starting to play golf internationally. And when someone said that I was busy, I was like, oh no, it's not that busy, it's great. now that I'm literally about to submit the thesis and school is about to finish, I'm reflecting on the 2 years and I'm like, I don't know how I did it. Like, it's just been manic. Like,
what are you going to do with all your free time? What are you going to do with yourself?
Yeah, but I only work 3 days a week now, so that helps balance it out. And my thesis is about to be submitted, so it'll be busy. I'll just play golf for the summer. I'll have earned a summer of golf.
I think you've definitely earned a summer of golf. The thesis is something that I personally never achieved in my college career. It must be pretty, a proud moment coming up soon that you'll have that submitted to get that out of the way.
Yeah, because I did my undergrad in Mary I. That's where I trained to be a teacher, and I actually didn't do a thesis because I did a specialism in PE, and we just had to do extra assignments. So it's my first time actually going and doing all the research thing, and like, it was fun, but it's hard work. Like, I think the document now is 30,700 words. So
sounds like a lot.
But it definitely is. Once you've done, it's like climbing a mountain. Like, it feels great to have it nearly done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. We spoke to with Laura Webb on the podcast last week, and she obviously captained international sides. She kind of spoke what she likes to see in a captain and how she viewed herself as a captain. You've played now in a couple of international teams. What do you look for in a captain?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's like the positive stuff. Like, you just want someone that will tell you that you're doing well, and I like when people focus on the process as opposed to the result. Like, at the end of the day, golf it's a bounce of a ball, it can go any way, but if you go out and you follow your routine, you make good decisions, like, that's all you can do. So as long as the captain kind of acknowledges that, we're all putting our best foot forward, we're all doing our best, and that's all we can do. Actually, our Irish captain caddied for me at British Am the second round, so that was nice.
Oh, nice. That's, good bonding session. Laura mentioned last week as well, she didn't like being kind of micromanaged, almost being left to her own devices to play golf. Obviously, you guys are all very capable of playing golf. Is that something that you like as well, just sort of let me to my own devices?
Yeah, I suppose when we're at tournaments ourselves, we're kind of doing our own thing. And I remember having a conversation with Eve about this as well, that when it comes to team events, we should be all able to do what we normally do as an individual at a team event. And sometimes that can be hard. So I suppose it is important that at the end of the day, whether there's 6 or 7 people on an Irish team, we all go about it very different. And as a captain, I think that they have to kind of adjust to that and make sure that everyone gets whatever they need. Everyone has different needs, obviously, that we all don't do it the same way. And that's important, I think.
That's actually a great segue with my next question. So my question was, is there a difference then in preparation or your mindset playing for a team, as you said, you're much more comfortable or much more used to, should I say, playing for yourself.
Yeah, I try, like, when it comes to planning for events and stuff, I'll do like the same stuff. And because Scott helps us prepare for individual tournaments too, I'm used to it. So he would do the same, obviously, preparation that we would do for, let's say, the Irish stroke play. We would do the same for an international event. So I try and approach it the same way.
How do you deal, or is there any added pressure, as you say, like, again, you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for your teammates, your captain, your country to a degree. Is there that added pressure, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think there was. I probably struggled with that a bit at the start. But again, for me, it's like trying to do, and it's probably easier said than done, trying to do what I do in a Munster stroke play in the middle of Spain when you're playing for Ireland. You're trying your best to do the same thing. So whether that's doing like similar plans, like I'll always write a few goals for the week, and usually they'll just be process goals. That's how I've made it like more comfortable for me, and it's taken time. It has taken me time to get used to playing internationally and playing for Ireland, but definitely this year I feel way more comfortable, like going abroad with teams, like with other people, preparing with other people. Like you have to get used to that as well. Like the preparation days are a little bit different to the way that you prepare normally, and I am starting to feel a lot more comfortable, and it's really enjoyable when you're with a team. Like you have so much fun. Like all the girls are great, and it's just great crack all together, as opposed to going on your own.
Yeah,
It can get a bit boring.
yeah. It's like, as you say, it's like the Munster stroke play, but way better weather in Spain.
Yeah.
I think seems like a good way of describing it.
Yeah.
You've spoken already, even chatting to me about focusing on the process over results and kind of journaling down kind of goals. Is that something that you've always done, or has that been working with even members of the Golf Ireland team and kind of sports psychology side of things that you've kind of adapted over the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's something that I've really adapted definitely this year. I started working with Mark Campbell, so he's involved with the Golf Ireland team, and he's actually a member in Lahinch as well, which is great. So yeah, it's all I do try and make a lot of a process, because for me, I know that if I can reach the 4 or 5 goals that I have with your process, that the result will take care of itself. And at the end of the day, golf is so unpredictable. Like anything can happen, and it's kind of a bounceable ball. But I've done a lot of work with Mark, like around even just like not being so hard on myself, and like really trying to take the positives from different rounds of golf and then bringing them into the next tournament.
And as you say, if you put down 4 or 5 process goals and you meet those goals and you come up a little bit short, is it easier then to live with that result, knowing that you've sort of done everything you could have?
Yeah, exactly. And like Donald Scott would be big on that. Like when you're on the golf course, one of the most important things is like acceptance. Like at the end of the day, we're going to hit bad shots, we're going to make bad decisions, but you have to accept it and then move on and focus on the next shot. So I think that's a big part of it.
You mentioned, and it's my last question on the team stuff, you mentioned, I think already, that it's a lot of fun. The bond always seems so tight on team golf. We see it at the highest levels of Solheim Cup and Ryder Cup. Is that your experience so far as well with the international teams?
Yeah, definitely. Every team I've been on, like the girls are great. It's great, like during the summer, to have the girls back from America. Like they're obviously used to playing on teams all the time, whereas we aren't so much. But like they're all just doing so amazing in America, so it's great to have them back. And like they're all just unbelievable, like they're class. So to be on a team with them is class as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned before the high performance panel. For those of us who are not familiar with that, can you kind of give a brief summary of what that is?
Yeah, so it's a lot of support from the coaches, I suppose, is the big part. Like Donald would be a kind of a driving force for us, like organising training days and going to tournaments, and he's a great asset that we would get as part of the high performance panel. And then there's a team of coaches in Golf Ireland. I think they're on the website that you'd have access to, which is great. Like I had an issue with my back a couple of weeks ago, so I went to Shane Lawler, and he was great as well. Sure, I walked out and I was perfectly fine. I was being a little bit dramatic, as Robbie Cannon told me. Like Robbie as well. All the coaches are brilliant. And then like for tournaments abroad, we'd get support from Golf Ireland, and Neil is always there as a support as well, which is great.
How important has that been for your progression, and almost as also even just to, I'm sure taking away a lot of that decisions that have to be made, they're always taking care for you. That has to also help with even like just your mental state.
Yeah, it's great to have people there as a support, even just to ask questions and stuff like that, because like there's always going to be questions that you're always going to need kind of different supports in different areas, and golf, the high performance panel, we're definitely supported, which is great.
You are a member at Dromoland Castle, which obviously hosted last year's Irish Women's Open, and it's there again this year. You played in the Irish Women's Open last year. How do you reflect on that, looking back at it now?
Yeah, I mean, it probably was the best week of my golfing career, if I'm being honest. Like at the time, I remember being extremely disappointed because I obviously missed the cup by one. But now when I reflect on it, it's just like just a sense of pride, like in what I achieved that week. It's amazing. Like I never thought I'd ever do anything like that. So it's probably 2 rounds of golf as well. They were so funny. Like the first day I hit the ball unbelievable, and just the putts didn't go in. And then the second day I hit it sideways and all the putts went in. But yeah, it's class. And to have it in Clare and just to be able to play in it, like Roland obviously provided me with an invite, which was unbelievable, Eamon and all the team. So obviously very grateful for that. And there's a big build up now for the next one. And hopefully I think a few of the girls from America are going to hang around. So we'll have a few, probably the high performance panel, I'd say, playing in the Irish Open.
That's fantastic. I know you had a lot of family and friends watching you play last year. How does that help? Does it make it more difficult? I think for me, I'd almost rather no one was there to watch me. I'd be a bit more relaxed. Is it add more pressure or nerves having your friends and family there?
No, I liked having them there. I don't really take too much notice about what's going on around.
Okay.
There was a big crowd though, because the second day I shot one under the first day, and then the second day Leona finished on the 9th, and I was teeing off on the first. So all of Leona's crowd came over to the first. So there was like hundreds of people there. But yeah, I don't really take too much notice. I was really nervous. I think having my family there probably calmed me down a bit.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah,
So
not the
we have
opposite.
opposite mindsets. I think I'd rather if no one knew who I was. That would make it easier. Dromoland looks absolutely beautiful in terms of the course. How challenging of a course is it?
Yeah, it is a tough course. Like the first few holes there, and I knew that as a member, like for 1, 2, and 3 are tough holes. So you kind of get off to a bad start. But then there is a few par fours, like there's a drivable par four, that you can kind of make up scores or make up like birdies and stuff like that. But yeah, it is the LET had nothing but positive things to say about it, which was great, and all the players absolutely loved it. And it's in even better condition this year. So looking forward to August to see what they think again.
Yeah, as you said, it should be even better this year.
Yeah,
We
that's what they're hoping.
we also have to mention the hotel seems pretty nice too. Do you have much experience with the hotel as much as the golf course?
The castle.
Yeah,
Not too much experience.
not just
It
it
is
looks
lovely
phenomenal.
though. It's
Yeah, it
really
looks pretty
nice.
sweet.
Mr. Nolan does a
Uh,
great job in there. I've never stayed there. I can't say I've stayed there. I've had lunch there, but and we had on the Wednesday night we had like Roland invited all the players into like a banquet, so we all
oh
went into the
wow.
area. I think it's called the Brian Baru, and it's where the weddings normally are, and all the players, which is nice for all the players because I'd say they normally I'd say the LET don't normally go to 5-star resorts. Like it's a special place. So that was nice as well to have dinner inside in the castle.
Okay, so you haven't stayed there, but if anyone's listening and wants to invite Aideen to the hotel, she's more than willing to accept an invite, I'm sure, to stay for the night. You're also a member of Lahinch Golf Course, which is absolutely beautiful and obviously
Yeah.
highly renowned. Growing up playing on a course like that, do you feel like that's given you an advantage over maybe some other opposition, just playing on such a tough course?
I'm very spoiled, alright. I have access to unbelievable golf courses. So I started originally in Woodstock Golf Club. That's where I did like all my junior golf was in Woodstock, so a little parkland golf course. And I always think that for me, I would nearly rather have juniors started on parkland
Okay.
because you have the obstacles and stuff like that. And then I joined Lahinch when I was 17. But like Lahinch is just a special place. It really is. It's the most. It's my favorite place in the world. I love it. The golf course is amazing. Like even playing British Am last week, and we played in Princes. Like golf course or links courses in Ireland are just really special. Like they're so different. There's no links courses like them. So yeah, and the facilities in Lahinch, we obviously built a kind of state of the art trackman room and puff view, and you definitely need that in December, January in Lahinch because we don't get the best weather.
No.
So I spent a lot of time in there during the winter. But even the short game, like there's like 5 or 6 putt and chipping greens. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
you should see the buses of Americans in Lahinch now. It's so busy there.
yeah, it's
Which is
definitely on my
great.
bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm in Galway, so it's only down the road. I have to get there at some stage. But Lahinch claimed their third AIG Women's Senior Cup title last year. I think it was the third in 4 years. So obviously a lot of great golf talent down there, not just yourself, Aideen.
Yeah. We like Clare Golf. I was thinking about this the other day. Like through the years, there's been unbelievable players kind of coming through. Like I suppose Trish Mangan and Valerie Hassett would have been the first, and then you'd have like Sarah Cunningham, Sinead Sexton, all internationals, and now Anya Donegan and myself. I'm not too like I'm interested to see like what way the Irish Open in Dromoland will have an impact on the next generation because I'm not sure is there any. My golf coach is the West of Ireland lead, and on his panels, I don't think there's anyone from Clare clubs, it's kind of interesting because you've had such a there's been so many good players that you would imagine that there'd be more coming through. So that's why I hope that the Irish Open will have an impact on the next generation. That would have more people from Clare. We're not just good at hurling in Clare.
Exactly. Your next week, 18, the Irish Close is on. How are you feeling going into that? How's the game? What kind of shape is that in?
Yeah, really looking forward to the Irish Close. So it's on in Connemara. So it's I love links golf. Obviously, playing in Lahinch, I just absolutely love it. I had a good run in the Irish Close last year, so and definitely lots of positives to take from my season so far. So really looking forward to it. And obviously all the girls are back from America, which is nice. It's always really nice to compete against them. Like I said, like they're just really good. Like the standard is really good. So should be good. They've changed the format slightly this year. So last year it was top 32 for the championship match play, and then the next 16 for plate, I think. But now it's top 16 championship and then the next 16 for the plate. So
Okay.
slightly different format, and it's 18 and 18 for the qualifying as opposed to 36 in one day.
Okay. Are you a fan of the changes? Do you think that's a better change for the competition?
Yeah, I think so. I think Neil said something about like Connemara, the weather could be bad. So I mean, we might get lucky, but I mean, if the weather was bad, 36 in Connemara could be tough work.
Sounds pretty
Probably
miserable.
be
Yeah,
fine.
I can imagine. Well, I was going to say that obviously Connemara, it is a crapshoot in terms of weather. Do you?
Yeah.
I said you're familiar with Lahinch. You like that links kind of style. Would you prefer almost sort of tough conditions? Do you think that would help kind of separate yourself from a lot of the field?
Yeah, it's funny, like when I reflect on my golf career, sometimes when the weather's worse, I just seem to really shoot up. Um, I mean, whatever the weather is, it'll be what it is. But it's usually when it's windy and raining, I seem to do okay. It's funny, like most people,
That
I suppose, kind of deteriorate in the wind and rain, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
Well, the guests we've had on so far have all said the same thing, which again shows why I'm not a very good golfer because I would fall apart in the weather
Yeah.
and the wet and rain. But
But I saw
no, that's
used to it in Lahinch, like
yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I'm living in Galway now, so I should be used to it, but I'm still not.
yeah,
So that's my own fault. That's my own fault. Aideen, look, we'll wrap it up there. We've kept you long enough. Thank you so much for coming on to chat to me, and we wish you best of luck, obviously, next week in the Irish Close and the rest of your season as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to Aideen for joining me here on the Golf Ireland pod. As Aideen discussed, she is in action this week along with a lot more of the Irish women at the AIG Irish Women's Amateur Close Championship, which is taking this weekend at Connemara Golf Club, which is brilliant news for anyone around the area, and anyone who knows that course knows how good that course is. Last year was won by Beth Coulter. She bet Sarah Byrne in the final 6 and 5. And Beth Coulter was actually the finalist in 2021. She lost to Anna Foster 2 and 1. So Beth Coulter has had a firm grasp on this championship the last 2 years, and will be looking to repeat this year. As we mentioned earlier on, Aideen Walsh will be taking place, and she tees off at 10:28 in the first round alongside Kate Dillon and Mairead Martin. Beck Coulter, defending champion, will be taking place. She's seeing off at 9:55 a.m. alongside Sarah Byrne and Libby Fleming. And then other notable, our previous guest Laura Webb from last week, she's also taking part in this. So she tees off at 12:07 p.m. alongside Jenny McGuire and Jan Brown. So best of luck to all the women competing this weekend in the close. We'll be recapping all the action and the winner for next week's podcast as well. And if you're around the area in Connemara, I know it's a very busy area this time of year where people are going to visit. Why not go down and see see the best Irish women golfers play a fantastic course? So best luck to all competing there this weekend. And also currently taking place is the Amateur Championship over at Hillside and Southport in Ainsdale Golf Club. Plenty of Irish involved, and also Walker Cup hopefuls. Irish Walker Cup hopefuls both on the provisional panel and looking to play their way in from the outside can virtually guarantee their place on that Walker Cup panel with a win, or at least put their hands up for selection with a deep run. And there's also an added incentive this year with the biggest amateur prize in the UK and Ireland, now the second leg of 3 tournament series to see who can qualify for July's Open Championship at Royal Liverpool. So the highest point score on the World Amateur Golf Ranking from the St Andrew Links Trophy, Amateur Championship and European Senior Amateur Championship will book a spot in the Hoylake field courtesy of a new exemption from the R&A. So obviously Alex McGuire, who won the St Andrew Links Trophy, another good weekend here and another good weekend at the European Amateur, and he can be playing at Hoylake in a few weeks, which is very, very exciting for him and for anyone participating this week. And yeah, Peter O'Keefe and Alex McGuire enjoyed deep runs last year in the championship, which was played at Royal Lytham in St Anne's, and they reached the quarterfinal and semi-final respectively. So hopefully we can have a good few Irish playing deep into this tournament as well. But you can keep up to action with all of the scoring at Golf Ireland's with websites and social medias and online as well. You can see all the scores and updates. So best of luck to all those participating. We wish them all nothing but the best of luck here from Golf Ireland. So that recaps, or that finishes up, shall I say, episode 7 of the Golf Ireland pod. So thank you again for listening. I hope you all get out playing this weekend and enjoy it, and we'll be back next weekend to recap it all again. So thank you.